Alright, so after 50 Shades Darker, after an hour, after 1 hour. Okay, I was about to say, I remember, how do I say, like, the vibe for this one ain't the vibe of the first one. I like the vibe of the first one better, but yeah, the first one had a terrible ending. Anyway, this is an hour. I'm not sure how long this one is. The first one was 2 hours. Done. We're an hour into this one. Anyway, there's a lot that just nothing had. I don't know how to explain this. There, stuff is happening, but there's like a climax, and then there's this and that. Like the last one had a terrible cliffhanger type of thing. Um, and then this one picks up in like the aftermath of that or whatever, and But this is what I don't know how to explain this. Like stuff is happening again. This goes back to the Arthur, because I don't like the progression of things to like I don't know how to explain this right about now. Like how do I like I said, there was a couple little things that was set up and mentioned, and then like okay, well where's like okay, well okay, what about this and this happening, and just revisiting subplots and things like that, especially with foreshadowing, and then like it's just stuff just to be happening, just be kind of sort of just keep on going. So, not too much to keep up, talk about right now. But so there was a whole thing at from the masquerade ball. Elena talked to her in the bathroom. Then they're on the way back to his place, and then it's the whole thing with her car. Who messed up her car? Then he's like, all right, well, we're not gonna go. She's like, we're not gonna go to my place or whatever. So they end up going on a boat. They're on a boat. What happens on the boat? Now this little scene, it could have been turned up a little bit more, but it just wasn't. Anyway, uh, remember he had the whole little oh, I'm not sure if I explained it with the whole like uh after she was like, you won't let me touch you or whatever, and then he goes to this one part, and then they have like she uses makeup to like put these lines, and he was like, these are the boundaries or the limits. I'm not sure if I mentioned that it was like lipstick. Either way, from from the party, they go to the boat. On the boat, there's like the shower scene. I'm like, okay, this is a good time to go ahead and do this or whatever. She said, "Can I just wash this off of you?" He's like, don't stray away from the lines or whatever. So she washed the lines off of him, and then she noticed that he has like burn marks, and she was like, "Who did these burn marks or whatever?" And then he was like, it's done. It's over in the past." Da da boom boom boom. She was like, but she said something about, "Oh, I'm glad you opening up to me. That means you love me." And he was like, "Yes, I do." So I'm not sure if that really happened in the first one or whatever, but he didn't technically say that, but she kind of said like, "Oh, so that means you love me?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do, whatever." So like, there's a shower scene. I'm just saying that the shower scene could have been turned up a little bit more. So there's one. The shower scene could have been turned up a little bit more. Um, but then she goes to sleep, wakes up on the boat, and then it spends a couple minutes just doing these random boat shots and scenes. This is where I keep mentioning the James Bond movie, but the James Bond movie, bro, you saw like this is how you know the James Bond movie was so. I don't even. I don't know. Like which one's more of a bigger flex here, right? One, them. Well, I don't know. The James like I said within the James Bond movie, I didn't watch the whole movie, and I could, but I don't want to. But like within the first 30 minutes, a boat gets blown up. This vintage car gets damaged, and this and the third. There's a plane, and you visit 4 countries. This all happens within the first 30 minutes of the James Bond movie. There's just so much stuff going on. So this one, anyway, they stay. For me, I'm like, bro, why are you still on this boat, bro? Like, they spent a lot. They spent like a good few minutes on the boat. So it was supposed to be like the night scene on the boat, and then the morning scene. She wakes up, and then she's supposed to be driving the boat. Oh, remember that whole thing? Let me drive the boat. That was just the whole thing. Was that 2015, 2016? I don't know. So there's that. Um, so she's driving the boat. She does that whole thing, and then outside of that, let me see. It goes from the boat to I think. Let me see. It's the boat, and then dang, I just remember how because it's not a lot that just happened. There's a shower thing. Wake up. She's driving the boat. Then what's next? I just watched this part. This is why stuff needs to make sense. It needs to make sense how you go from one part to the next or whatever. Dang, bruh. They back at his place. Well, it kind of goes back to his place, whatever. So now at his place, like I said, not a lot really, just kind of sort of happened. And they go back to his place, and so the lady, she meets this other lady, like who's like a housemaid or whatever, and then she goes up to, she was like, he's in his no, okay, this is what I'm missing. Okay. So after the boat, right, she has to go back to work. So she goes back to work. Her boss, now mind you, the last time her boss had a little part was in the beginning of the movie at the bar. And remember, Christian said that he was about to buy her company that she works at. So he would be her boss's boss or something like that, right? So when her boss walks in, he's like, take personal calls on your own time or whatever. I think she's like on her phone or something. So you got to remember, the first time you saw her boss, he walks in and he gives her some tea, right? So in the beginning of the movie, her boss walks in, he gives her tea, gives her breakfast. This time he ain't doing that, right? So he because Christian, he saw Christian at the bar and Christian was like, I'm the boyfriend, I'm the boss. So this time he was like, take personal calls on your own time or whatever. He walked past and said that. She don't pay too much mind to whatever, but she gets up and then she goes into his office. She was like, yo, you got a call at 9 a.m. for such and such. I'm just like, so he's like, oh, yeah, what? Oh, man. She's like, I'll just go ahead and reschedule. He's like, all right, boom. But then he was like, here's like another little part. So then he says, they're supposed to go somewhere in New York, and I don't know if it's like some convention, whatever it is, right? He was like, did you book our rooms? Like, our, right? She said, he was like, did you book our rooms? And so she was like, oh, what? Yeah, well, yeah, I booked your room. I booked you a room. And then he was like, yeah, like my assistant's supposed to be with me, come with me or whatever. Like, and so he was basically like, figure it out, sort it out, like, book yourself a room too. So this is the whole thing, right? Because this is her job and this is work. And so her boss was like, so she tells the boss that she booked a room in New York for him, but she ain't book a room for herself. And he was like, my assistant's supposed to come with me. And so, mind you, the boss had the whole thing at the bar. He got her alone by herself and it's out there, boom, boom. But now he doing passive aggressive stuff. So she was like, well, I didn't know I was supposed to book my own room. He was like, well, figure it out, sort it out or whatever. Then he takes his call. So she was like, all right. So then she tells Christian. Now, it's a couple things that kind of go with this, right? She tells Christian, she was like, okay, FYI, I'm going to be in New York this weekend. So she's letting Christian know beforehand. So these are little, I don't know how to explain. These are just some things that that I just feel like some of these things have to, there's a culmination, has to come to a head, and there has to be some type, like the conflict is there, but it's been building for a long enough time, or I guess whatever anyway. So it's been since the beginning of the movie, and now it's just all circling back to this, the boss, right? We don't know what happened to Jose. That was just the whole thing anyway. This definitely, you could the way this movie goes is definitely, you can tell, shit was based off a book anyway. So she texts Christian. She's like, FYI, I'm going to be in New York this weekend. You know how Christian be. Christian going to pop up in this and the third. And no matter where she at, what she got going on, he always finds her, right? So he was like, he texts her back. He was like, with your boss? And she was like, it's for work and this and the third, boom, boom. He says, the answer's no. they text him. He's in a business meeting too. He's in a business meeting. And so she's texting him or whatever. He's like, the answer's no. She was like, I wasn't asking. These are like, just this little conversation, this back and forth. These are joints that'll get you heated. Like, mind you, he at work. She was like, FYI, I'm going to be in New York. He like, with your boss? The answer's no. She's like, I wasn't asking. You know what I'm saying? So He pissed right now. But these are things that are real life. These are real life conversations that people have kind of similarly had, and these just would just make you mad. Like so, that's the part I was missing. There was that exchange. Oh, and then he's like, "We'll discuss this later." So says that he's like, "We'll discuss this later." So there's a back and forth text exchange with that. Then from there, let me see the back and forth text exchange. After that, that's the actual sequence. So it goes from the her car getting messed up in the garage. Then they drive over. They're on the boat. On the boat, there's the shower scene. I feel like the shower scene could have been way better. But then there's that. Wake up. Then like they spend a long time on the boat. Then he lets her drive the boat. Oh, they had a conversation about his mom. She was like, well, he named the ship Grace, the boat Grace. Um, and apparently, like, after his mom OD'd, and they found her body like 3 days later. And she's like, "Where were you?" He was like, "Right next to her." So that was a whole little thing. So his whole little messed up upbringing, they keep kind of circling back to like why he's like messed up. Like low key, he's messed up mentally. Like he's been through some things, or whatever. But he just made it to be successful in life. Either way, there's that. And then after that whole little boat exchange, then it was her being at work. She had booked a room for her boss, but her boss was like, you need to book one for yourself as well. And then she has the whole text exchange with him. And then he's like, we'll talk about this later. Then she gets to his place. The house worker was like, hello, Miss Stell, and this and that third. She's like, let me take your stuff. So she gives her bag and her coat. And then she was like, Mr. Gray is in his study. He'll be out shortly, da-da-da, woo, woo. She was like, I'll be in the kitchen if you need me. The only thing that's like important to know about that, like if you ever want to have like a maid or butler or whatever type of vibes where like you have a person who like keeps your house clean, and then they kind of like they either know of like, okay, if this person comes or this person comes, and how to treat them, how to conduct themselves. And, you gotta be able to trust people like that too, because like this is just totally an aside, but if you ever seen the Breakfast Club interview with Tyrese, he'd be like, this right here, 50 cent, this right here, $1. Like it ain't really that, but he'd be like, he wear fake jewelry because he's had housemaids and keepers who be like, me no, I don't know what happened. I don't. He's had like $50,000 jewelry, and then he had housekeepers and maids, but me no, I don't know what happened. Like they don't know stuff be magically disappearing, grow legs, and walk up out of here. So just the housekeeper vibes. You got like they just will just end up taking, robbing, bartering. I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. So he was like, nah, he just wear fake jewelry. But anyway, I just mentioning that like the full, like these are those things that like putting like at least like planting seeds in your head of just like, okay, if you had a butler or a maid or a housekeeper, and like how would you train them, like what's their script, what do they say, and how do they conduct themselves with any type of visitors that visit your property and things like that. Or would you only keep them for like a day or two, or like but then there's times of like building up, like those are things like because some people like definitely for sure will have a housekeeper. Then it's like, how do you build that trust so that they don't you know you know steal or take from you, and that you can have the trust with them anyway. It was that, but what it ends up, uh, he's off in another room or whatever, and the caretaker takes her Anastasia stuff. So she decides to just, it's his place. She's been there before. So, but she goes upstairs, and she goes to the playroom. So she's in there, and then you see a shadow, and then he walks in. He was like, "See something you like?" She's like, "Oh." So that's after 1 hour. That's after 1 hour. And so we're gonna get back and continue this. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm just watching this. I don't know who won the Super Bowl, but I'm pretty sure that's over by now. Maybe, should be. Um, I don't think I need to mention that within this, but okay. I'm already here. I've seen two things. Well, not two things literally, but I saw Pokemon had a commercial, and they use these like people's favorite, like, okay, Pokemon's supposed to have like a 30 anniversary or something like that. Pokemon had a commercial. I saw their commercial, and it was like these different celebrities talking about who their favorite Pokemon is. I think this is Trevor Noah. He's talking about like Psyduck. think Sabrina or whatever, some other girl. I don't know if she's who she is. She's talking about Jigglypuff and how Jigglypuff used, and some other one. Like, I don't know none of these artists. I ain't know none of these people. It was just a Pokemon commercial. I watched it because it was Pokemon. None of them mentioned like any of the ones that you would watch. One lady mentions Luxray or Luxor. What? The other one mentions Jigglypuff. The other, I don't know. When one of them mentions Gengar, you don't see Dragonite or Pikachu or nothing like that. I don't know. It was just it was a Pokemon commercial. Levi's had a commercial. Somebody called it a Sydney Sweeney diss. I did, but it was literally a butt commercial. It was a Levi's commercial. Yeah, I saw that. That was, but I don't know. But on here, I did see infographic. I think it was like 19-0 or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe that was like halftime or something. And but I think the Patriots were losing. And that was the last thing I seen. The Patriots were losing, and it was bad. Like it was. I think the score was like either 16 or 19 to like I don't know how you get 19. Hold up, it was like 19-0. Let me think about something. Let me see. Even that's a 3-point. Let me see. 7 is 14. I don't know how they. If it was, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not watching the game. But either way, I don't know what's up with that. But those are the things that I've seen so far.